的网友，你们好，欢迎你观看我们的节目。我们大家都知道呢，最近这个申请美国大学的这个工作已经进入了白热阶段。这个早期决定 early decision 这个已经基本上快结束，而且常规的申请呢也正在进行。很多学校呢，它的这个期限是10月月底或者12月月底。我们今天呢，我们大家请来的一位美国著名的一个就是专家，他呢在美国的一个著名的中学工作了近17年，专门是辅导就是中学生在申请工作中，特别是呢在就是申请中间写的这种个人陈述和各种各样作文的这个写作，他的很有经验，很丰富。我们大家都知道呢，就是在大陆的学生申请考学的时候，那就是一个高考结束了。在美国的大学呢，虽然比较容易，但是呢，它就要求很多各种各样的程序，比如说你要考了 SAT、AST 这些硬的指标以外呢，还有一个很重要的一个软指标，那就是这个大学的一个论文，也就是个人陈述。有的学校呢还会问一些你。比如说你为什么要选这个专业等等，这个问题呢，就是很多可能对于很多学生来说都是个头痛的事情，因为呢要在500字或600字之内呢要展述自己的陈述，这是一个非常难的事情，而且呢在这个东西呢，现在这个作文呢变得越来越重要，现在呢大约是硬指标的指标相同的情况下，它这个作文呢。就占了一个主要的成为一个主要的一个因素，所以呢，怎么样的在这个500-600字之内呢，要把自己的故事写得很精彩，而且呢逻辑要很清晰，而且呢同时呢就要语法和拼写没有错误，能够你在众多的这个申请生中间呢能够崭露头角，这也是一种技巧。我们今天呢。就跟那个我们这边的一个专家叫 Lori Kloehn， 大家谈一谈。Lori 呢，她是在这个芝加哥的一个著名比较历史悠久的叫拉丁学校工作了近17年。她的主要工作呢，就是辅导学生的作文和论文，然后特别是在毕业生的时候，帮助他们去编辑和辅导他们如何在申请工作中间能够崭露头角。我们知道拉丁学校呢是一个私立学校，它的升学率非常高。在Lori 的帮助下，过去的这十几年中吧，他已经有很多学生进入了常青藤。我昨天查了一下他们学校的这个毕业表呢，大约有耶鲁大学11名，普林斯顿7名，还有这种哥伦比亚6名，反正就是他们的学校整个的这个升学率很高，所以呢。他的经验也很丰富。我们后边部分呢，就要用英文来采访。希望呢，我们的网友，如果你看到，如果给你的孩子呢，如果需要他帮助的话，请让他们看我们的这个直播。谢谢 ，Lori. Thank you for coming to the program.
Oh, it's so nice to be here, Wen. Thanks for inviting me.
Great. I just did a brief Chinese intro. Is it possible to tell us about yourself in English for people who just tuned in?
Sure. I've been working at the Latin School of Chicago for about 17 years, and I've been working with students really in the last 4 years in a very concentrated way, helping them write their personal statements for their college applications. And very recently I began a business, the College Essay Writing Center, where I teach online classes and help students write their personal statements. Part of what I love about doing this particular job is that I get to help students be better writers when they are extremely invested in the process. They want to do well, they know their audience, and they certainly know their purpose.
That's great. The college essays is becoming so important lately. How important it is, I mean, for a lot of the students, if they have very high SAT scores or ACT scores, why do they have to worry about the essays?
Well, here's the important thing. The personal statement is a critical part of your application because it is the part of your application that really tells about you. It's beyond what any college would see on your transcript. It's beyond what any college would see on your activities list. And you have an opportunity to show who you really are, your personality, your voice, your interests. And the questions for instance, on the common application range from things like, tell us about something that we need to know about you, or tell us about a time you failed or were challenged. And those kinds of questions really seek to find out, what do we need to know about you to see if you belong at our school?
So do you mean to say that many of the well-known schools here, right now, they have very stringent requirements, or they attach great importance to college essays?
They do. They do. And in fact, there have been several articles not too long ago, one in the New York Times, talking about this exact thing, that this piece has become even more important because it gives that personal view. And on top of everything else, then the colleges can see how you write. Writing is a critical skill. Writing is important at any university.
So writing is becoming more important, which means that the students need to spend more time on the college essays.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
You know, when I used to work for the University of Chicago, some people just automatically assume that I know a lot. They used to come up to me and ask some questions, especially the Chinese students. Meaning, like, how can they express themselves in the 600 words? Should they tell a personal story, or should they just give some of their views? So what is your advice on that?
You know, it's interesting that you mentioned the University of Chicago because they have a very interesting application that's quite different from other schools where they really ask for a lot of creativity. But I would say that I would advise students to stay away from listing accomplishments. There are some pitfalls here. I had a student once who was an Eagle Scout, a brilliant student, who just kind of bragged in his essay about his list of accomplishments and the things that he had done. And the trick about this Common App essay is that you almost have to be a little vulnerable. And that's not always easy for people, but that helps you connect with your reader. You have to think a little bit about these college admissions officers, right? They have a stack of papers in front of them. They have, 500, 1,000, 1,500 that they have to go through. And that one that jumps out, that's interesting, that tells a story, that's going to be the one that gets their attention.
That's true. I have a neighbor here who works at Northwestern. She says that from November or to February, she just doesn't go to work. She has to go through hundreds and hundreds of applications. So it is very important to write something that will make you stand out.
Absolutely. I mean, let's say you've played the piano for 14 years, right? And you want to talk about that because it's an important part of your life and it's your passion and you want to share that. That's great. But maybe you should tell a story about how you once made a big mistake and what you learned from it and how then you grew as a person, right? Or that your grandmother was a musician and inspired you, and talk about, your connection with her and all you learned from her. So there are different kinds of approaches that you can take. Every great essay has a story, a reflection on that story, and then some insight that you can show, oh, this is what I learned.
So we were just talking about the pitfalls, right? So you think the first thing that students try to avoid doing is just to simply list the accomplishments. Say, right. I did that, I won this award, I volunteered at this center, blah, 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 that kind of situation.
Right. And you have to be really careful of that because you have, an application has several parts to it. It has your transcript. So the colleges will know your grades. You don't really need to talk about that. It will also have a list of your activities in school. So it will show your interests and your passions. It's important instead of that you show the human side of yourself, that you can be vulnerable and maybe even a little funny, that you can show that you're a unique and interesting person who will add something to their college.
Right. So you mean that avoid the accomplishments, but start with something more personal.
Absolutely. Think about what you value. Think about what your goals are. Maybe your values, come back to you really want to be financially secure. Maybe your value is your family. Maybe your value is creativity or art or self-expression. Everyone has a different value, right? So follow your value when you're writing your essay, and it will lead you in a great direction.
Okay. So when you pick a personal story, so how do you decide which one is interesting? For example, I've noticed that from my experiences with some students, one of them is a Chinese American, and the other one is Latino students. They always try to find something that more a generic or common experience. So I always sometimes tell them, say, why don't you find a unique story in your unique upbringing or your culturally unique things? Is that something, which approach would you tell them to?
It's interesting because right, it kind of depends on the student, because I had a student this summer, in fact, who was an immigrant from China, and he wrote a beautiful story about living in China and having a man fry tofu outside of his house, and how he used to sit next to him and listen to him and watch him. And he reflected on that man's experience and what he added to his life. And so that was a very unique cultural background, right? But then I've had other students write about things like washing the dishes or walking to school, sort of those experiences that they can show something interesting. I would avoid the essay about community service because that can sometimes be overdone. It seems that every aspiring engineer wants to write a story about how they like to build with Legos. Okay. Probably not the best approach to take.
Okay, so another pitfall, which means students try to avoid writing about community services.
Because it's just overdone, unless you have some amazing story, right? If you have a great story, then that's different. If you have a special insight to offer. But the classic student essay is, I did community service and I went to help people, but they ended up helping me. And it's just like, it's so overdone. It's just so overdone. Like
cliche.
Exactly.
Which means that when you pick a personal story, it needs to be something unique, insightful, rather than just follow a cliche,
right?
Like a community service. Okay.
And it needs to show like what you value, right? If you value financial stability and hard work, and you've been working at your family's business since you were 8 years old, and you have some fun stories to tell about that, that's great, right? That's wonderful. If you value your family and you want, I had a student this year who was just great. He was in my online summer course, and he wrote about how he wanted to learn how to make a steak. And his parents owned a Chinese restaurant, and he decided he was going to learn how to make a real steak. And so he watched all the videos, right? And then he practiced. And then he talked about how he made this kind of steak for his mother, and this kind of steak for his father, and this kind of steak for his grandfather. And he showed how much he cared for his family, but he also showed how he had this passion and interest in cooking.
So from what you have told me, it's like the stories doesn't have to be very big. Doesn't have to be like helping with the community. I went to help with the disadvantaged people, but it's something in your life. It's very small incident.
Right.
And from this incident, you draw some insights.
Yes, And your insights, that's what makes it unique, right? That's what makes it special. I had a student who ended up going to Princeton who wrote an essay about how he saw a bear in the woods when he was camping. And it was a beautiful essay because he talked about how seeing the bear woke him up to wilderness experiences and how he wanted to work in the wilderness, in nature. And that's what he's doing right now with his life. So it's interesting. You have to kind of think about what you care about, and that should come across in your essay.
That's very important because from the essays I've read written by some Chinese American students or some Chinese students who are applying for American schools here, is that they tend to write in generic terms about the abstract ideas, saying, I want to overcome my challenges, I want to overcome difficulties, blah, 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 blah. But from you have told me is start with a very personal, small story, and then develop into some kind of very unique insight.
Absolutely. That is absolutely the way to go. And the more, because they want to learn about you. And colleges want to hear you speaking in your voice, not in your teacher's voice or your parents' voice or your tutor's voice. You know, you have to, you know, maybe work with someone who's going to help you find your voice or find your own voice, right? And really be able to express yourself the way that you would. That's super important.
That's great. And after you come up with a very personal story, how do you normally link with the theme of the essay or with what you study? What is your advice on that? I mean, go ahead.
It's interesting because I've seen essays that are structured so many different ways. Some students, I worked with a student last year who's currently at Carnegie Mellon, and she wrote an essay where she told three very distinct stories about how she likes to ask questions. And then at the end, she just had a very brief paragraph, and I still keep asking questions, you know, and that's how she ended it. But she gave three wonderful stories. Then I've had other students who have told a story and then reflected on it and then had an insight at the end. That's a very typical approach that works really well. People like to start with a story. When you start right in the middle of the action, that's very compelling. And that first paragraph is important.
The first paragraph is very important.
Yes.
Right. To grab the attention of the person.
Absolutely.
Which means in journalism, we call the lead.
Correct.
You try to grab the reader's attention. So,
yes.
So the other thing is, I noticed that sometimes just telling a story is not enough, which means that you have to, you have to have a couple of paragraphs talking about the insights. What have you learned from the story?
Yes.
How relevant it is to your study, right?
Absolutely. And one of the things that you can do is have, you know, a moment where you sort of reflect upon that and then tell what you learned. You know, sort of a reflection paragraph and then a paragraph where you offer that insight. And suddenly your story takes on so much more meaning and is so significant. Even if it's a simple story like how you walk to school every day. You know, maybe how you walk to school every day shows how you are organized, how you learn to take shortcuts, how you are outgoing because you've met people and given them directions in your neighborhood. You know, you can say so many things in a reflection that really show that you've thought about it. It's also very fun and very effective to do what we call a circle organization, where you start with the story, then you reflect on it, you have your insight, and then you kind of go back to the story at the end.
The end, you start with the story, your personal reflections, and then your insights, and then come back to the story.
Exactly. It's so powerful.
That's great. So that's for students that need to know. The other thing is I've noticed, and that since they have to work under such pressure, when they finish the piece, is it very important for them to proofread everything very carefully. I noticed there are sometimes typos and grammatical errors that can be detrimental, right?
It's a huge problem. And I would say that it's the one thing that some colleges will just put you in the no pile. if they see grammatical
titles.
Yes. Yes, because it shows that you're not the kind of person who would take the care, right? This is probably the most important document that you have produced as a student in a lot of ways. And so if you are not taking the time to proofread it or to correct typographical errors, then that's a problem.
So which means that after they finish the essay, they need to carefully proofread it or have somebody else proofread it for them?
Yes, but be careful about asking somebody else to proofread for you. Make sure you're asking the right person, right? A teacher you trust, or your college counselor, right? Or someone else you're working with. Just be careful of that, because sometimes not everyone knows the grammatical rules as well as they think they do, and that could be a little dangerous too. One of the things I sometimes tell students is to read their essays backwards, because then you're not going to skim over a word. You're going to look at every word to make sure that it's right. And even though we have all, brilliant computers that help us with our spelling, there are many words that are spelled many different ways. So it can skip by Microsoft's lovely spell check.
That's nice to know, because I've noticed that maybe it's a cultural reason. With the Chinese students I have helped, and one of the main things is sometimes the ideas could be very good, but the copy could be sloppy.
Right.
So in your advice is that you have to find the right person to help you proofread it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And you just have to make sure you take the time to do it too. Sometimes you have to write it and then put it aside for a week and then go look at it again. It almost needs to rest. And I would strongly suggest, so of course, applications for early decision are due tomorrow, right? So that is, wow, that is right here. But January 1st is the next deadline, right? And that's the deadline for the regular decision. So if you're working on thinking about applying regular decision, I would suggest having your essay really done by the middle of November so that you could put it aside and then look at it with fresh eyes. I think it makes a huge difference.
That's great. That's great advice to know. The other thing is, after they are done, and this is the personal statement, I noticed that in some colleges, they require some supplemental questions. For example, I noticed last year with some of the applications with UCLA, all those schools, they have a series of questions like, why are you why do you want to choose this major? What makes you, what do you think is your best quality? Those supplemental questions. When students answer these questions, what should they do?
So you have to be careful, because you want to show that you've learned about the school, right? You want to show that you've taken the time to actually understand the school and done a little research. So that you have some idea what the school is all about. Why do you want to go to Caltech, right? And then you need to be able to answer that question. So you should show that, but you should also, they know the statistics of their school. You don't have to tell them their statistics. You don't say, well, I want to attend your school because you have a 12-to-1 student-teacher ratio. They know that already. You can just say, I enjoy small classes. I learn best when I'm in a small class. And that's one of the great advantages of Caltech or wherever, whatever you're thinking of.
So in other words, avoid wasting the word count on those stats or facts that is already the university already, they know about it. They don't need to read from you, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But you need to be straightforward with that kind of questions without telling stories or anything like that.
You do, although you can tell a little bit of a story, like just a hint of one. If you want to attend a business school and you're saying, I think I'm destined for Wharton, ever since I started my first lemonade stand when I was 4 years old, and just, you can have just little human interest bits that show us who you are, and why you might want to study that.
Great, that's 50 or 60 words, because normally it's like 300 words, so
right.
350, right?
It's tiny.
Very tiny. So we've covered these grounds. So if we want to, for somebody who is preparing for the application now, we want to give them some like a takeaways, right? When they are writing the essays now, what are the top advice that you want to give to these students?
Okay, here's what I would say. Number one, consider your values, right? Consider what matters to you. Go through a list of, there's a bunch of places online you can find sort of lists of values, and look through and think, what are the things that are important to you? Are your friends important to you, your family, your, like I was talking about before, financial stability, creativity, politics? What are you interested in, right? So that's the first one, because you have to know yourself a little bit before you plunge into this process, because you want your essay to truly reflect you. You don't want it to reflect your mother, it should be reflecting you. So what are your values? That's number one.
First value, what matters to you the most?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And the second one is tell your story. Tell your story. Tell the story of you. Tell a story. Tell maybe, 2 stories, but you can tell, just one good story, something that captures that value that we talked about first, right?
Right.
So something that really will show us, oh, this is what I value. But it has to be your story. And that story should include dialogue, right? It should have people talking within it. It should have us right in the moment. It should use good sensory detail. It should have all of those pieces that make any story compelling, right? If you're telling a story to a friend sitting next to you in the cafeteria, you're going to tell a story that has dialogue and is interesting and has a, clear beginning, middle, and end. All of those things are important. So that's the second thing. Second thing,
try to find a personal story.
Yes.
And, okay. I sometimes tell people it's hard, but it's good to talk with your parents or with your friends sometimes during the conversation, and a story maybe, comes up, or you get inspired by something.
Absolutely. Yes. Talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, talk to your friends, talk to your brothers and sisters. See if, when you think of me, what story do you think of? And you might be interested in the answers, right? That's kind of a fun question to ask anyway. It's just it's a fun party question to ask, somebody, when you think of me, what story do you think of? And I think that's a great way to contemplate that concept.
That's great. So the second one. Now let's come to the third one.
So the third one, use your own voice. Don't use someone else's voice. Sound like you. If you suddenly sound like, someone who's a generation older, you're not going to sound like you. College admissions is going to say somebody else wrote this essay for them, right? You want to sound like somebody who's 17, 18 years old. I mean, that's who you are, right? And so yes, you want to show that you're a good writer and you're thoughtful and you're interesting, but you have to use your own voice. And there are some things you can do in an essay like this. It doesn't have to be super formal. You can use contractions. You can say I'm instead of I am. You can use second person, like you can say you. You know what it's like when you fall asleep before you want to, or you know what I mean? Like you can actually bring in the reader with second person, and it's nice. It's a little casual, and that's okay. If you're kind of a casual person, if you're a very formal person, that might not be the right essay for you, right?
Right.
So that would be my second thing, is use your own voice. I mean, my third thing.
The third thing. I like this point a lot, because when I talk to the students, they try to sound more sophisticated than they actually do, because they want people to give the impression that they're very deep, and in certain things they are very sophisticated. And sometimes when you tend to overdo this, and it's no longer you anymore, right?
It sounds fake, and you don't want to sound fake. You don't want to sound fake. You don't want to sound boastful. You want to be a little vulnerable, and you want to talk, almost as if you were talking to a friend. Now you can do creative things. You can use metaphors and similes and personification, and, you can use those devices. but I would strongly advise to not take on an artificial academic voice. This isn't an academic paper.
It's more personal essay. Great. So what's your next one? Do you have another one?
The fourth one, I would say, work with someone who can help you, somebody who has experience, but ultimately trust yourself, right? You want to be expressing you. So working with someone is good. Be careful you don't work with 20 people because you'll get 20 opinions and then you can't decide who's right, right? But work with someone you trust. You know, is there a college counselor? Is there an English teacher? Is there some mentor you have? You know, is there a tutor you can find? Is there someone who you can work with who you trust? And that would be my fourth thing, because and of course, ultimately though, you want to be expressing you. And that's part of this also. You know, get a little help, get a little guidance. That's great, but it still should be about you.
So I run into questions like, I know like some applicants outside the U.S., they try to seek help from different agencies. These agencies, or they pay somebody to specifically write the essays for them. Is that some kind of number one taboo? You should never do something like that.
Never, never. Because if it doesn't sound like you, if it's not your story, right, that's going to come across. But the next thing is if someone finds out about that, there is just, you know, you're basically telling a lie on your application.
Right.
And you will not accept it.
Right. From your experience, if somebody gives you an essay and written by some other people, you can probably easily spot it right away, right?
In a minute. And believe me, college admissions officers can do that in a second, right? If you have 1,500 of those to read, you get pretty good at it.
Okay, so seek some help, but not have somebody else write for you.
No, never.
So, do you have another one? Or
so I have number 5. Okay, here's number 5. Edit and proofread carefully. I don't turn in something with a typo. Don't turn in something that's littered with errors. It will put you in the no pile right away. And you deserve to be in the yes pile. So take your time and make sure that you proofread.
That's great. And then just don't be sloppy, thinking that your ideas are good. People will like it. But if you have a couple of typos, that could ruin the whole.
It could.
All of your efforts.
Yeah, it could. And you don't want that.
So, I've heard stories. Do you have any other suggestions that take?
Those are my main points. Those are my
5 points.
Yep, that's it.
5 points. That's great. So I've heard stories about how students they scored really high on SAT, ACT, but then there's something wrong with the paper or something because they lost some opportunities. Is that true from your experience?
Yes, absolutely. There's so many kids who prepped really well for the SAT and the ACT and score, you know, right up there in the top scores, who are the valedictorians of their classes, but they have a personal statement that doesn't sing, right? It's not the personal statement that reaches out to that college admissions officer. Now, not every college is right for every student. And that's the other thing that I would really suggest that people remember, right? That it's a little bit like a dating service, that they know what they want and you know what you want, and let's see if we can match those together, right? But every student, you know, won't necessarily get into every university, but there is a place for every student.
That's great. So if students, you just said that if they need the help, they should seek some counseling or seek some help.
Sure.
And what are the things that you help? I know that you have, I mentioned in the intro that you have set up this college essay center to help students. What kind of services do you offer students?
So we do online classes. We have online classes. For instance, I have a series of classes on Saturdays in November where we work through the essay. It's kind of a wonderful situation where you meet other students online. You have an experience of reading examples of other essays. You workshop your essay, you go through it carefully, you learn how to organize it, you learn how to really find that topic, and then you also work with someone, usually me, who will help you, edit it and sit with you and on Skype, and go through and carefully go through your essay with you. And I find those meetings to be incredibly rich because I have an opportunity to teach students better writing skills. And of course, I'm an English teacher, and that's what I'm really all about. I also do offer some tutoring sessions, and that's also one-on-one, and that's also on my website. So I'm delighted to do that. I really like to work with students one-on-one also. It's very enjoyable. You can really dig in. Some students like the community better in the class. Other students like more of the personal touch.
So which means they can attend a Saturday class to improve their learn how to do these college essays.
Yes.
And then if somebody's there in a rush, they said, I want a one-on-one, they can set up, they can connect with you and then get private coaching, right?
Absolutely.
So during the private coaching, what things do you offer? Do you help them edit their essays or develop ideas? And what do you do?
All of the above. So it kind of depends on how much time you want to spend. I have students who come to me who don't even have an idea yet, right? And then we work through, what are your values? What are your ideas? Okay, let's look at structure. Let's think about the stories you can tell. Let's think about how to organize that. Write a rough draft. Let's play with that. Let's see how that looks, organize it. And I have students who come to me who already have a draft, and they say, I just need somebody to sit down and edit it with me and make sure it's right. And I'm happy to do that, right?
I think that's very helpful.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
No, and I love that process too, because a student is so invested in this piece of writing. And when you get to work with a student one-on-one who's so invested in a piece of writing, it's really enjoyable. And it's fun to sort of, I'm a grammar nerd, right? So I really like digging into the grammar and saying, oh, look at what do you need in this sentence? Do you need some punctuation? And talking about that and getting into those wonderfully detailed points with a student is just fantastic for me.
Oh, that's great. And if students, for example, for those who live in China right now, and they can do the online session, right?
Yes,
absolutely. To go to Pittsburgh and then go to Carnegie Mellon to meet with you, but they can do it online, both with one-on-one private tutoring as well, right?
Yes, and I, of course, sadly, I don't speak Chinese or Mandarin, right? So I don't have that skill, right? But I would say that that if a student understands English, then the online class or the online tutoring would be super. I'm also delighted to hear from people who speak Chinese. I have lots of folks who could translate for me.
Great, which means that if they want to reach out to you, they can write a Chinese email. You will be able to answer them
yes,
perfectly. I think that would be a very great service to help with students who live in China who want to apply for American colleges. They need some advice, or for Chinese American kids who live in other cities, right? And then could you repeat your website again? We might put it on the screen, but you could repeat that for us.
Sure. It's www.collegeessaywritingcenter.com, all one word. Or you can actually reach out to me at Lori at College Essay Writing Center.
Lori, Lori,
yes.
College
Essay
Centers.com.
Right, College Essay Writing Center.
Oh, College Essay Writing Center. That's great. And thank you so much, Lori, for your time.
Thanks, Gwen.
Very helpful. The 5 takeaways, and I hope that students will remember. And if any of the children of our audience, they want private tutoring, feel free to contact Lori. And thanks again, Lori.
Thanks so much, Gwen. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
大家好，欢迎来到今天世界很好玩，我是主持人得怡。对有些人来说呢，今天世界的确是很好玩，比如我，但对另一些人来说呢，就不是啦。正所谓几家欢喜几家愁，今天和大家聊的话题是找工作。对，这是一个对有些人带来无数的烦恼，也是无数惊喜的话题。这3个词，找工作。你是理工生吗？通常人们都会认为，在美国读理工科是很好找工作的。事实上呢，并不尽如此。我们来看看这第一张图。那在艺术类专业中的毕业生的人数，往往会超过工作职缺。只有计算机科学专业是一个例外。这个图是从2015年至到2016年间毕业的本科，我们可以看到蓝色，也就是毕业的人数，总是比粉红色工作职缺多得多。那在美国呢，教育的从众之中可以被总结为 STEM， 就是 STEM。第一呢是科学，也就是 Science， 也就是 S。那第二就是技术 Technology， 也就是 T。那第三就是工程 Engineering， 也就是它的 E。和数学 Mathematics， 也就是它的 M。那对任何一个想要促进经济增长、推动科技创新的国家呢，都是很重要的。那 STEM 运动已经展开了很多年，得到了各方的支持，受到了各地学校以及 YWCA 到男童子军等的欢迎。那目前这个由 National Science Foundation 先提倡和推广的概念，正被当为描述性识别符来使用。它是一个 STEM， 通常有共为之意，指的是大学入学资格大抽奖中具有于事的人。那公众对 STEM 的教育有一个很大的兴趣，是基于这一种的假设，这些领域有大把的机会工作机会，有些的确是有，但有些并不是。那 STEM 是很广，跨越很多学科和职业，从软件公司到数据科学家到天文学家和物理学家。最近的研究越来越清楚地表明， STEM 高薪工作岗位中 T 类的岗位数量最大，尤其是计算机类。今年找一些招聘网站 Glassdoor 按本科所学专家对劳工者步入职场前5年的基本工资中位数做了排名。排名第一的是计算机科学，也就是在7万美元。第二名是电子工程 6.8 万美元左右。该研究工资最低的是生物技术，在 4.8 万美元左右，和生物化学 4.6 万美元左右。研究还表明，在 STEM 专业中，女性的比例也偏低。那另的研究人员也列出了过需求量最大的技能。去年的前10名都是计算机类的技能，那有包括云计算、数据挖掘、统计分析、编写智能手机应用程序等专门的技能。那在近期的分析中 ，University of Washington 的计算机科学教授 Edward Lawaska 他关注了美国劳工统计局对 STEM 领域的劳动用工预测。那在2024年的10年之间，新增的 STEM 工作岗位有 73% 会是计算机类的职位，而物理科学和生命科学呢类只有他们占了 3%。那科学教育和政策专家 Michael Taddeburn 表示，所有美国人都应该掌握起码的科学和数学的原理，但他认为一些 STEM 的拥护者发出的警告是有害处的。他们说，美国正在面对令人担忧的 STEM 劳动者短缺问题。然而，这种警告所依据的短缺出现在相较较小几个快速发展的领域内，比如数据分析、人工智能、云计算和计算安全等。那 STEM 专业的失业率或许很低，但并非所有的本科毕业生都最终会找到与专业对口的工作。那 National Science Foundation 2013年的一项调查显示，生命科学毕业生只有 13% 找到了专业对口的工作，物理学只有 17%。那计算机学是 STEM 领域唯一实现半数以上毕业生找到对口工作的学科。那如果物理学和生物学想要在数字经济 繁荣发展的时代分一杯羹，少数专家行出创办公司会培训他们，为他们找到数据科学之类的工作。那 Inside Data Science Fellows Program 呢，在纽约、Boston、西雅图和加州都有分行。之前5年前开户了其中第一个培训项目，目前已经有900名受训者进入了 Facebook、LinkedIn、Airbnb、Amazon 和 Microsoft 等公司工作。那该项目创办人物是物理学家 Jack Kamka。他之前总是听到硅谷的高总们说，他们考虑过请传统的科学家，但把这些人变成技术专家，似乎是既耗时间又有风险。那似乎 Kamka 就决定，他应该创办一家公司，帮助科学家更顺畅地进入技术行业。那 Carlos Faham 走的就是这条路。他是一个非常棒的学术生，获得过一系列奖学金。他在 Brown University 获得的博士学位是暗物质物理科方向。从那里毕业后，他曾在 Lawrence Berkeley National Laboratory 从事博士后研究。Faham 很喜欢在那里做研究，但过了近2年后，他感受到了生活的压力。那时候他已经在大学研究生院和博士研究领域过了12年，可是下一步他将是在全国各地争取为数不多的终身教授位置。一名博士所后研究员通常每年挣的是4万到6万美金。而在消费水平很高的湾区，这是不够的。Faham为自己的物理学研究做过认真的计划。他申请过科技公司的一些职位，认为他们会渴望用一个像他这种有才华的人。可是他不只是不得到面试的机会，他们还说他的背景太学术化了。在几次电话的面试中，他觉得自己很笨拙，因为他并不熟悉那些统治和机器学习方面的问题。他回忆说，感觉就好像全数撞上一面墙上，真的很丢脸。那2015年呢，Faham参加了为期7周的洞见数据科学人才培养项目。该项目没有正式的课程，除了业内的人一些指导的课程，他的剩下时间都用来制作一个产品以及面试培训。他的产品是一个在视频中识别和跟踪人脸的软件，之后就在白板上解决一篇程序的问题，并解释他的想法。那他说，面试就像肌肉，必须重复的练习。项目结束后，他得到了6个工作的机会，最终他接受了 LinkedIn 的邀约。那如今33岁的 Faham 是一名高级数据科学家。他在所谓的团体呢，他们是利用机器学习和统治模型来侦测社会网络上的非法活动，包括虚伪招聘机会、广告欺诈、垃圾邮件和机器人的攻击。他说，数据神秘集型侦查工作的范围很广，发展的速比他之前在的世界快的更多。那现在的薪水相当的不错，抵达了6位数，大约是他博士后研究员时的5倍。那该公司表示呢，在参与洞见数据科学人才的培养项目的人中，也有90%的人会得到了做这些数据分裂式的工作，退学几率大概是3%。那另外一个人呢是阿纳达苏亚，他也做了类似这些职业的准备，但并没有偏他自己的专业背景偏得很远。那项目结束后呢，他拥有神经科学博士学位的 Des 加入了纽约的 Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center。他现在是在那里的高级数据科学家。他所在的团体认为他是帮那些医生啊、护士和研究人创作那些软件的工具。目前的一个项目是根据每一位的癌症病人的历史、年龄、性别和基因，推荐最可能有效的临床试验。但说呢，数据科学与神经科学截然不同，但它使用的某些工具，比如一种被视为人工神经网络的机器学习技术，的确是受到大脑的启发。他的经历反映出一个更大的趋势，就是技术和 STEM 和 和其他的领域融合在一起了。那加州大学 Berkeley 正是出于这方面的考虑，他们设备了一个全新数据科学部，它是为回应的学生需求和技术的进行而设备的。那 Berkeley 分校的数据科学技术的课程，它在上年吸引了50多个专家的1200名学生。担任这个部总任呢 David Collar 他解释说，称他为部而不是学员，是因为强调他的思维。他们希望这是整个学校大学的基础性部门，由其他学校的同心呢是没有分开的。他说这是整体经济动向在学术界的反应。今天我们就聊到这，我们明天见。记得有什么事可以去到 Twitter 找我，在 Grow a Little Mind。我们下期见。